Hey guys, so I was wrong about the first Marvels being the second Marvels movie being having a female, woman empowerment agenda. The first movie definitely did, especially in the movie itself and in the commercial. But that's not my problem with the movie. The fact that it is an agenda and affect the writing and it makes it worse. That is my problem with it. But let's continue with this video.
People on both sides were completely writing off the idea of the female action hero in general, saying that for whatever reason or another, people must just hate the female action hero, as if it wasn't just a problem with writing quality in the first place, because we have had great and successful female action characters.
No, I think, no offense to Gal Gadot, she cannot act. Not even in the Superman v Batman movie, although I think she's better in that one. But in her standalone movie, for one, Gal Gadot can't act. That may not be her fault. That may be her acting coach. But also, the writing is bad. The plot is bad. It's not a good movie.
Characters and movies in the past. This is the ultimate result of the strong female character push. They've made people associate it with bad quality, and that is probably the worst thing that you could have done. It is going to make it a lot harder for other people, other writers, to try to get actual good female characters, strong female characters made in good faith out into the ether, because now you've made a negative stigma around it. However, as we're talking about that, as the strong female Mary Sue archetype goes away, there are still restrictions on female characters to be unproblematic. That is the best way that I'm going to put it. To be stereotypically strong and tough, even if it's not on the same level of it as it was before. And once again, that is going to lead to problems, and it has led to problems in movies. And so
and the fact that women just can't be as strong as men, that's the thing. I mean, you can have a bigger woman beating up weaker looking men. You can have that, but maybe get a taller woman to do it too.
Just want to break that down a bit and talk about the various female characters I've seen in the past year, and how these restrictions are still on these characters, and how this nonsense just continues. Let's talk about Chani. Dune Part 2's Chani. Chani frustrates me. She frustrates me a whole lot. She frustrates...
I didn't really have a problem with her. She didn't really do much, but I have a problem with her.
It's me so much that she was 75% of the original reason I thought about making this video, because Dune Part 2 is such an amazing film, one of the best films of the year, and such an artistic film as well. But there was...
I only saw the first one.
One part of the film that bothered me ever since I watched it in the...
I mean, she does help the kid, become a part of the... I forget all the names. Become part of the tribe that's on the desert planet, and she does help him, learn how to walk and help him, all that kind of stuff. But she's kind of silent. She doesn't have much lines other than that.
Theater, and I wonder if people maybe weren't as willing to talk about it as much when the movie came out, because it's Dune Part 2. It's amazing, and sometimes when a movie does so much right, then people don't want to admit any flaws in it at all. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just wondered, because here's my problem with Chani. First of all, we get a romance in the movie, and I've talked about before how romance seems to be even more of a scarce thing in films lately, but we get this romance. And when Chani starts out in the films, though, she doesn't like Paul. She doesn't trust him. He's an outsider. She also is very, very condescending and belittling to him.
They say you're the Mahdi, but you look like a little boy.
Well, because part of her tribe doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, right?
She makes fun of him. She talks down to him. She tries to help him, but it's always in the sense of talking down to him. And then he falls for her, and she falls for him.
What if recording high quality content, editing like a pro, and streaming like a star was as simple?
Sorry
Why?
about that.
I don't get it. I don't understand. This is the exact same thing that they did with MJ, played by Zendaya, and Tom Holland in the first two Spider-Man films. They didn't do it in Spider-Man No Way Home. They kind of fixed her character there. But initially with MJ and Spider-Man the MCU, all she does is belittle him and make fun of him. Yet,
well, they're apart, yes, and they get to know each other, and they start liking each other. That's how it works. You get to know the characters and why the characters like each other, you know? Or assume that's in part 2.
he's in love with her.
Too late. You guys are losers. I have a plan.
And I'm like,
Well, she didn't look very serious about that. That's more playful.
it's not really a great romance. That's not really any motivation I see. And it's sort of the same old relationship. And it's not very romantic. Whipped mama's boy and condescending girlfriend is not a good dynamic.
Well, listen, if they learn about each other and they learn what they like about each other, it can work.
Get the chemistry between these two characters, even though I think the actors are really good. I don't get why they come together. And there's an element in here, and this is not in the books. I'll talk about the books in a second. But there's an element in here where Chani does not trust Paul as the Messiah. She is vehemently against that. She sees him as a vehicle for these false prophecies used to enslave her people. Once again, I'm not really understanding why these two characters are.
I mean, the plot is about him becoming the prophecy, right? I assume that happens in part 2. I assume if it does, if it doesn't, then I'm wrong. If that happens in part 2, then all of her assumptions are wrong, you know? Maybe that's why she began to like him.
Are interested in each other. But I could overlook all of that. What really, really bothered me is how the movie ended, because this entire movie is about Paul worried about his fall, being corrupted by power, worried about the future. But then the way the movie ends, we get a shot of Chani running away and a shot of her reaction to all of this. And I'm wondering why. Paul is the character that I've been with for the entire movie. If the movie is going to end, I want to see his reaction, not hers. But there's more to this if you read the books. Now, Chani's role in the books is essentially Padme Amidala. That's not an exaggeration. She literally is just Padme Amidala. It's literally based, Star Wars is literally based off of this. Paul falls in love with Chani, and she in the books is actually very supportive of his.
I mean, is it as badly written? Or is it written better?
Of the idea of him as the Messiah. The way the book ends, Paul agrees to marry Princess Arulin as merely a political ploy, says that he will not treat her as his wife, that he will not even
that's already better written.
Look at her in any way that shows affection or lust or anything like that, and that Sean
in the Star Wars prequel, they just kind of fall in love, despite Anakin, advocating for dictatorship, and you don't really get to know why they like each other.
Chani, as his officially titled concubine, is a person who's
and they don't have a lot in common. They don't bounce off each other very well.
Actually going to serve as his wife. And it ends with Lady Jessica saying that while they are officially titled concubines, history will see them as wives. So that's how the book ends. But it's important because in the sequel, in very Revenge of the Sith style, what happens is Chani gets pregnant and she dies in childbirth. And that is the thing that pushes Paul over to the ultimate end.
And she died because she doesn't want to live anymore. She's medically fine, but she doesn't want to live anymore. That way she dies in the book too. Listen, it's probably written better. I'm just taking the piss. Anyway, let's continue.
end of the dark side. So that's what Dune Messiah is all about. And so at this point, you might be wondering, but the movie ends with none of that talk from Lady Jessica and Chani running away. And that was my other problem with it, because number one, the movie is all about Paul. I want to see it's about his concern about him falling away to the dark side, being corrupted by power, the future that he brings on. So I want to see his reaction as the movie closes out. But we get a reaction from Chani, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you end with this supporting character rather than Paul? And exactly what is Dune Messiah?
I need to see Dune Part 2. That's my assignment for tomorrow. Again, I mostly watch older stuff. So if it's like this, then that's bad.
Messiah going to be about, since they literally changed key things that would directly contradict everything that Dune Messiah is about. So let's talk about the reasons why things were changed. First of all, official word from Denis Villeneuve was that Chani was skeptical of Paul so that people would know that what Paul was doing was bad.
Chani is this in the second part of the book kind of disappeared in Paul's shadows. The character becomes less interesting. Villeneuve, that last name said. But I thought there was strong opportunity there to create a character there who would give us a new perspective on Paul in order to get closer to Frank Herbert's intentions. Okay.
That is so stupid to me, because Dune Part 2 is professing to be a smarter film, a more highbrow film. We don't need to have a character hold our hand and tell us Paul's actions are bad. We know
Okay, that's true. We can see the actions are bad through the writing and through the facial reactions of the characters. I agree with that. You don't need to hold my hand.
they're bad. We know objectively they're bad. Paul himself is fearful about what he's going to come. We didn't need that for it. Now, why did they make other changes to the story? Well, I think it's fairly obvious, because Chani was a stereotypical love interest in the books. She was a warrior, but she didn't get a lot of time. To have her be the one who just bears Paul's children and dies, and who serves this role of love interest, would not be a good look in 2024.
And, and I can believe that. But there is nothing wrong with being just a good wife and bearing your children. You don't have to have fucking all the success, I want to, but somebody may not. I know people that don't, Again, my girlfriend, she doesn't, she Acolyte canceled, apparently. We will react to that tomorrow. But no, I'm pretty busy tomorrow, so I'll go to 30 minutes. But where was I?
Of time to have her be the one who just bears Paul's children and
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with just bearing someone's children. You don't have to be, successful. I mean, you want to be successful. I mean, you don't have to do a lot. To be a good character.
and dies, and who serves this role of love interest, would not be a good look in 2024. However, as I'm looking at
Every
this
character doesn't need to have
movie,
all. Every character doesn't need to have all the depth.
as they were trying to change it, and you can make updates to books and changes in movies and have it still work out, but that's
And
not.
I am a big advocate of. I'm a big advocate of. If you want to change something, you better damn sure make sure it's better than the original, or for one, it's going to be bad, and two, everyone's going to be comparing it to the original and be like, why didn't you just do that? So you win twice and you lose. What the fuck? Sorry about that. You win once and you lose twice. That's how it works. That's how it would work, unfortunately.
not exactly what I'm seeing in this movie, because what I was talking about in the beginning is I don't buy Chani and Paul's connection. I don't think they have a lot of chemistry because of the condescension.
I don't buy in the first movie. I can see that. If it's about the same in the second movie, then I agree.
Take that they took with Chani, just like they did with MJ. I don't believe that they'd be together based on her skepticism of him as the Messiah. I don't know what the attraction there is. And then the ending actually took out a good moment from the books where Lady Jessica reaffirms the importance of her and Chani's role in all of this. They took that out and they had the movie not end on Paul, but end on Chani, and then end in a way where I'm wondering, okay, you can make these changes, but you're changing things so fundamentally from the books. I'm just wondering, what is Dune Messiah going to even be about? Now, there is that line in
Dang it, I can't comment.
the movie about how Paul foresees that Chani will come around, so maybe they'll do something there. And I hope that Dune Messiah, I want to have faith in what they're going to do, but it just seems like a lot of finagling just to make sure that they don't have to do with the stereotypical love interest version of Chani in the first.
Yeah, that seemed really hard to fix something that's kind of small. You could. Yeah, again, why go through that effort?
Place, like, once again, finagling.
And they probably went through all that effort too because they have a big name actor now.
From Hollywood to make sure that we don't see anything offensive or problematic. And I am all for making changes if they improve on a story or if they make it better in any way. But I just didn't think that these changes really did that. They just sort of messed up the story a little bit in my eyes. And as a woman, I don't need my hand to be held. I want there to be strong female characters. I want there to be weak female characters. There can be female characters who play the role of the love interest, just as there are male characters out there who play the role of the love interest. What I'm all advocating for is diversity of female characters, meaning I want there to be all kinds of female characters. And if you can, if you see,
I don't care what I agree. I don't care about what your female character is as long as it's written well, You don't need to make all the characters beat up everyone and do all the stuff,
See a story of a character where they're not more in terms of characterization than just the love interest, and you can improve in that, once again, great. But I also don't demand it. I don't need Chani to be the skeptic to hold my hand through the story of.
Sorry, I'm getting all sorts of notifications.
Dune, so that I understand Paul's actions are bad. I just feel like I'm being pandered to a bit by this, and that I'm being talked down to a bit by this, as if I couldn't handle it. And it's also a little bit funny to do it in the world of Dune, because I understand that Dune is a world where there's a lot of corruption, and there's plenty of powerful female characters who pull strings and have a lot of power of their own. But you don't need to have every female character do that if you've disrupted the story. One, I don't mind that they wanted to make changes to this, but at the same time, I just feel like they failed and they fell on their face with it. And I feel like these were once again motivated more by fear of how Chani would be perceived than actual intelligence on how they were going.
And I think that's also stupid. You shouldn't compromise your vision for your audience saying, but my politics. No. Good writing come before anything.
Going to make these changes. And with Chani, we continue to see these sorts of restrictions on female characters and the kinds of stories that they can have told and how they can be portrayed. She's not the only example I can pull from mainstream blockbusters this year. And another example of that would be the movie Twisters that came out. Now, Twisters, I watched it and I thought it was really, really boring. Other people liked it. That's fine. But we do have to talk about the female character in this movie because, once again, she is not made into the stereotypical one-dimensional strong female cutout. She is a strong person, but she is given her own arc in the film. She is given her own flaws.
Well, to be fair, I think you had to be strong, to chase tornadoes. I did watch some of the movie. I started, but I didn't finish. I do like the reference to the Dorothy in here from the first movie. I wish they had some I assume the original cast isn't in it. I'll have to watch more of it, but
she's given her own backstory. In other words, they actually went back to how you should be telling stories for female characters, treating them as people, giving them development. And I thought that that was good. It was very, very simply told story for this female character. For this one, I didn't hear any complaints on it, except for one thing. Now, Twisters is trying to be like a classic Hollywood movie. You've got
okay, I have to go. Sorry, I have really busy tomorrow, but like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks.